is full time at the Brentford Community Stadium. Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. Well, that was quite painful to watch at times, wasn't it? Probably expected to an extent, but I did expect a bit more fight, a bit more, desire from our fringe players. I don't think particularly any of them today stood out, to Moyes going, I should deserve to be in that lineup, because I thought they were all pretty poor. 2 goals in the first half secured the win for Brentford. There was the VAR decision, which I think was wrong again. Unfortunately, I think VAR have got it wrong. I don't know where Mubama's supposed to put his arms there, if I'm honest, unless he's supposed to cut them off. But would that have mattered in the grand scheme of things? Possibly, because if we get that goal back, we've got 20 minutes to go. We could have put another couple of attacking players on, and things might have been a bit different, but it wasn't. And you've got to say Brentford thoroughly deserved to win. They controlled it really, really well, and we just didn't really pose too much of a threat. I've given Danny Ings pretty much a lot of criticism in recent weeks and months, but I thought he was actually one of the best out of a bad bunch today. I thought with what he had to him, which wasn't a lot, with the service he had, which was very minimal, I thought Danny Ings did okay with what he had. It was good to see Mubama get some minutes, but the grand scheme of things, what the big result out of this is, there's no injuries that we're aware of. Of course, we heard pre-match that Mikel Antonio's got a calf injury, whether that's smoke and mirrors or the reality. Of course, we'll have to wait until Thursday to see the truth on that, but the main result to take out of it is there's no injuries that we are aware of, and we've just got to move on to Thursday now, because that was the priority from Moyes, and it's clear, and that was what we all wanted as well. Of course there's going to be people moaning about that, but realistically, Moyes did what we all wanted him to do today. He changed things, and I think he and those players have really proved a point how most of them there aren't good enough, because we didn't step up today. We didn't look a threat defensively. I thought we looked very sloppy at times, and yeah. I think this sort of solidifies how much faith and how much trust we have to put in our starting players, because it wasn't a good display, and as Zach says, I hope you well, mate. Forget that and focus on Thursday. Now we don't need to talk about it again. It's done. We forfeited this game. Most fans would have took a 2-0 loss and no injuries. That's exactly what we've got out of it. So in the grand scheme of things, I think we take the result, we move on. And if we look back and we win on Thursday, then it will be 100% the right decision. Bringing on Rice, I think, I could sort of understand. It took Souček off, who will undoubtedly play on Thursday. Bringing Bowen on, I thought was a little bit unnecessary. The geezer's played the most amount of minutes for the first team from the football club this season. He's played the most amount of minutes, so I thought it was a bit unnecessary bringing him on for 10 minutes. Ben Rama, I thought, had a little bit of a spark. Things didn't quite work out. Those balls were a little bit overhit, or things didn't quite fall for the Algerian. He got a nice reception from what I heard of it from the Brentford fans when he came on. I think Ben Rama, he's one of our own, rung round the Brentford Community Stadium. But apart from that, it's not really too much to discuss. I thought it was quite a drab game at the end of a season that doesn't really mean anything. I don't think Brentford are going to get Europe. We aren't going to get relegated. A positive result in the fact that Manchester City beat Everton, which is good. So that puts them down. There was a couple of people that sort of mentioned there's a chance that Everton might have got something. Couple of brilliant goals from Man City, so that was good in that sense. So at the end of the day, we've just got to shrug our shoulders and go, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, if we win on Thursday, it looks like the right decision. If we lose on Thursday, then we'll go, oh well. But it's a game that didn't really mean too much to either side, and we now move on to Thursday. Couple of guests joining me. Firstly, Mike, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Did you manage to stay awake?
No, I turned over and watched the Man City Everton game, I'm afraid. I've got to be totally honest, mate. I was watching a bit of a stream and it wasn't very good. But no, then I've seen that goal that's been disallowed again, and it's a joke.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
It's an absolute joke.
We've got another guest we are going to bring on as well. The Ginger Andy Carroll. Curtis, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Thanks. Can you hear me, yeah?
I can, loud and clear.
Good.
In the grand scheme of things, Curtis. Pardon?
I had some technical issues today. I couldn't really see the game either that much.
No, could I, mate?
Second half was non-existent for me.
Yeah, I think, overall, I think I caught about 70, 75 minutes of it in the end. And yeah, it wasn't great, It says what it does on the tin. And I think, that's probably solidified to Moyes, Mike, that those fringe players probably aren't good enough.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they've been given a chance today and they haven't done it, have they? I mean, that's why they're not playing, full stop. I know it's a bit tough on them because I suppose you'd like to think that 4 or 5 of them could play with 4 or 5 of our, normal starters. So that makes it tough for them. But they've had opportunities and they're just not showing enough, have they? They're just not showing enough.
Yeah. No, Curtis, I think, the thing you've got to take out of it is if we win on Thursday, we'll look back with, it was probably the right decision.
Yeah, 100%. I done a fan cam Thursday night for West Ham Fan TV, and I said exactly the same. We have to rest our players. There's no point risking it because we are safe, not mathematically, but we are there or thereabouts. If Leicester lose to Liverpool tomorrow, then obviously we are safe mathematically. So what's the point risking the players? I mean, Aguirre had to play. It's the only player that's played on Thursday or started Thursday, but there's no one else. So someone had to play, and there's no point risking Zuma with his injuries. So I think Moyes sort of, for the first time this season, has been on the same wavelength as all the fans about resting the players because Thursday is more important than this game today. Let them have their 3 points. They've got nothing to play for. They can't get Europe if I'm right. So they've got nothing to play for. There's no point. It was a null and void game for us because we've got bigger fish to fry on Thursday night. We've got to make sure that we get through that. And I was surprised to see that many changes from Moyes because we know how stubborn he is. But like Mike said, I was going to say the same thing. Them boys coming in today, them fringe players, them non-starters. Now, let's bear in mind, a couple of years ago, they were our starters, most of them. And it just proves that the age, for one, so like Cresswell or Bonner being the wrong side of 30, and then the other players that used to start, Cornet's just coming back from a lengthy injury, but he's an offside merchant. He winds me up. How can someone with that much pace be offside all the time? It's like
he was completely non-existent today as well, Cornet. It wasn't until he was subbed off that I realised he was on the pitch, and that goes for many of them. Fornals I thought was awful today as well. The amount of misplaced passes and just no impact on the game he had. So both of the wingers I thought were completely ineffective. Having 2 less able midfielders in there with Souček completely exposed how poor Souček is. But one of them had to play, so he risked Souček, which I think was probably the right thing to do. And then Johnson, I don't think he's great, to be honest with you. Emerson, pretty much the same. Bonner and Aguirre, defensively, that goal shouldn't have happened, the first goal for sure. I mean, there's 2 people at fault there, Aguirre for the pass, and I mean, I don't know, Fabianski's let that in. I think that's very, very poor. And just overall, it was a bit of a game where, we sat there and I watched it, but I was just a bit like, null and void doesn't really have any impact on us now, and hopefully we can be all smiles come Thursday night when we win, and we'll go, oh well, that doesn't matter at all. Final thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, mate. We all wanted that team, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's just, we all called for it. We didn't think Moyes was going to do it. Was all shocked by him doing that. We all called for it, and let's face it, with that team, we're probably taking a 2-0 defeat, haven't we? Yeah. We probably are. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. They should be showing a bit more. The only one thing I would have liked to see Muamba get a decent run. You know what I mean? Get a start today. Let's see what the boy can do. I think there's a player there for him in him for sure. But hey, he's done what we wanted to do. He's rested him. Thursday night's a big one. Like you said, we got bigger fish to fry than this game today. Let's face it. Unless there's some stupid, ridiculous results, we ain't going down. That's all there is to it. So it was worth the risk in my mind. Fair dues. We move on to Thursday now.
Yeah, to be fair, Mike, I think we both said we take no injuries in a 2-0 loss at, before the game. And to be fair, when he scored the second one before half time, I was, I had visions of it turning into like 3 or 4.
5, yeah.
3, 4, or 5, which...
The only problem was we had to get Rice and that on, didn't we? And that was a shame, really. We didn't really even want to get them on the pitch.
No.
We wanted them left off the pitch. But we had to get them on to make sure it didn't turn into a cricket score. So
exactly.
That was a shame. But, hey, that's a risk you're taking, it. That's a risk you take.
Yeah, Curtis, fair play to Brentford in the end. But it's what it is for us. Doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah.
No, that's it, exactly. Like Mike said there, we had to take some sort of loss. And for it to be 1 or 2-0 would probably bite your hand off for it, playing our second string team.
Yeah.
And it just proves that we need reinforcements, because you've got a lot of players that are out of contract at the end of the summer. Rice is probably no doubtably going to leave, unless by a miracle he stays and we win the European Cup and then go into Europa League, because he wants to win cups. And so if we win it, why not try and stay for another season? But that's neither here or there for us to decide. But it just proves that we need to reinforce. And I know Moyes likes a small squad, but he needs to pull his finger out. We need reinforcements and we need quality. And like Mike said there with Mbama, I think he should have gave him a proper decent run out. There is a player in there, and it's a bit more pace. Cornet is the only one that came in out of all the changes that's got a bit of pace about him. But obviously with his injury, he's just coming back into the game, trying to settle back in. And we needed a bit of pace. I mean, we've been saying it for years, we need pace anyway. So, on to Thursday. Let's hope that we can finish the job. We've got 1 foot in the final. Let's just not go and just throw it away. It's going to be an hard game out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, we're going to that now. Fair play to Brentford. They got 3 points and deserved it in the end. And I think, it does reinforce how much, how much another rebuild is needed for West Ham in the summer, because those players are quite frankly not good enough. So as you said, Curtis, with Rice leaving and pretty much the majority of those who played today out of contract in the summer, I think Ogbonna still out of contract in the summer, Lanzini, that's just a couple I've reeled off there. Plenty of players will need to come through the door if we want to get any sort of squad together for next season, depending of course of how this Conference League campaign continues on. But sacrifices have to be made with the squad and the quality of the squad we have there, and it was made today. So now we move on, and hopefully it doesn't matter as much if we win on Thursday. Curtis, final thing.
Well, we can't go on like this, can we? Playing domestic leagues and domestic cups and then European with the squad that we've got, it's too small as it is, and it's not enough quality. So we need to get bodies through the door. Not so much quantity, more quality, and we need to upgrade a bit more, because we're going to be, if we win this European Cup, we're going to be in a better European Cup next year. And all right, people might say this year's been a bit tough because of the World Cup being in the middle, and they've had to squeeze so many games in before the end of May, which technically you're not allowed to play any FA affiliated games in June, apart from obviously they're making a sacrifice or an exemption with the FA Cup final. But we need to strengthen next year. But hopefully Moyes has made the right decision and he gets it drilled into him for Thursday, because that's our big game now. So that's the biggest game of the season, and if we get to that final, then who knows what can happen.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everybody for watching. Mike and Curtis, thank you very much indeed. We'll be back a little bit later on, of course, because we have 5,000 subscribers today. So we'll bring you a special show a little bit later on. Mike can't contain his excitement. And we will see you soon right here on West. I'm going to a couple of comments before we go. Our midfield always goes sideways. They should be called side field. I was painful at times going back and, back and sideways. But it's done now. I sat there and I watched it. I didn't fall asleep. That's the objective to take out of it. And now hopefully it'll all be worth it when I'm screaming when we win and get through to the final on Thursday. I'm screaming, sat on my own in the living room, and yeah, you can smile all you like, Mike, because you'll be in some ping pong bar in Amsterdam or whatever.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Bring it on.
Come on, your minds. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.
See you later.